Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast Thought Process. I'm your host, Shawn Wayne. And as always, we got Dylan over in the corner here. I had to look to make sure I got the right button. Hello, Dylan.
What's up? I'm in a new spot.
Yep, he's in a new spot. It's
because we demoted.
we have a few guests on today. I'm sorry. We have a few guests on today. One couldn't be with us today. We was gonna have Kirk on. Shout out to Kirk. I think he broke his arm, which is very unfortunate. I hope you get better, Kirk. That does suck. I know it sucks. I broke my arm before, and he had surgery. He just texted me. He had surgery. Dude. That's so crazy. He just texted me and said he had surgery today. That's wild. Well,
no
Kirk,
excuse.
So, Kirk, I hope you get better. I know surgery sucks, and I know breaking your arm sucks because I broke both of mine, and that is awful. But today we have a few guests on today. One of those guests has been on here before, and he is currently running for sheriff, Mr. Tim Creel. How you doing today, Tim?
How's it going?
Very good, very good.
Good to be back, Shawn.
I appreciate you coming on. Last time we had a great time. We talked about, we had a pretty good podcast where we talked about, the stuff in leadership, and then we had talked about, all kinds of stuff that pertain to the sheriff's station, and then like some stuff. And I also have a couple of videos. I'm sorry to be all over the place here, but we had a couple of videos that went viral of us kind of talking about stuff going on when you are sheriff, and people don't understand, certain things that go on through the whole process of getting arrested and stuff like that. We did have a few videos go viral of you talking about kind of all that kind of stuff.
I think it was the understanding of what the different agencies are responsible for.
Yeah, I think it was. You and Kurt had a really good conversation about it. That's why I wish Kurt was on here, because I hate to say it, but a lot of the videos that have went viral here lately have been Kirk talking about stuff, and you as well we're talking about like the process and stuff that has to do with being arrested and bonds and stuff like that. So it was a really good podcast. I'm super happy that you jumped on. I'm glad to have you back today. So. We have another guest that you had brought with you today, and her name is Julianna Davis, and I'll throw her up on the screen now.
Hi.
And if you want to kind of tell you, can you, I'm so sorry, I'm all over the place.
Slipping. I'm
slipping hard. Can you tell us what you do and what your field is and all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. My name's Dr. Davis. I am a trauma therapist. I work, the last few years, I've worked specifically with law enforcement, fire departments, paramedics, things like that, EMS services, to develop a comprehensive wellness plan. And I'm kind of the department mental health lady. My nickname's actually the mental health chick for about 18 different agencies, but I get to help people all over North Alabama.
Are you in the Cullman area?
I'm everywhere. I actually don't know anybody in Cullman other than Tim. I don't have a lot of work here, but that's actually something we're going to talk about is how do we implement things like this here in Cullman. But so far I work mostly in Marshall County, Jackson County, Limestone County. I help out all over the place whenever I can. But
that's awesome. And you help with when it comes to, and this is when people see like some bad stuff, you kind of help with that stuff.
Yep. It's just a part of it, but yeah, I do a lot of critical incident stuff for both police and fire, and I'm also the specified veterans therapist with the nonprofit that I work for, so I do a lot of work with vets as well.
That's amazing. I think we touched on it just a tad bit of when it comes to the stuff that people see when they're out in the field, and I couldn't imagine. It's hard for me to say that's got to be bad and stuff like that. So I couldn't imagine. I'm not a police officer or anything like that, but I can imagine it could do a toll on somebody's mind in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if it's like your significant other or someone else you know or relatives or something like that. It's got to be extra traumatizing to be in that spot too and still perform. So
yeah, I feel like I don't know if I would be able to I don't know if I'd be able to, be out there. It's hard. For the closest I've ever been to like trauma or anything like that is my parents passing away and stuff like that. Now it was really hard, and so I couldn't imagine like, being out into the field and seeing stuff like that. And have you ever had any what was the worst that you've had you've had to deal with somebody?
Me?
Yeah.
There's so many I can't count, and I'd like for Julianna to jump in a minute and tell you her statistical information on first responders as opposed to people that are not in this field, and what the instances is the number of instances that first responders face throughout their, if they do this for 25 years versus someone else that's not in this field for their entire lifespan. Can you touch on that? Because that really, the last seminar you had, that kind of, I couldn't believe the numbers really. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I want to start off with, though, is like, what do y'all think the definition of trauma is?
That is I would say,
seems like it could be multiple things. It could be like a physical trauma or, mental or emotional trauma. I feel like it kind of be more broad. But most people probably, I don't know, it's kind of hard because if you see something, that's kind of different than like experiencing like something, between family altercation or something. That's kind of a different trauma than something like seeing something bad, and I feel like it's kind of broad.
Yeah.
I would think something physical, maybe. I don't know.
Or something happening to yourself.
Yeah, I've never been. I don't know if I've ever experienced enough trauma. I don't know how to say. I don't think I've ever experienced enough trauma to really categorize it. And if that's, I don't know if I'm saying the right words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I get it. And that's why I like to start out with that question, because for my purposes as a clinical professional, I want to be clear that when I talk about trauma and these statistics and things that we're going to talk about, I'm talking about a specific thing. So the definition in the DSM-5, which is our book that we go by, the definition of trauma is exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual abuse or sexual violence in one of four ways. You can have it happen to you. You can see it happen to somebody else. You can learn that it happened to somebody that you love. And then the fourth, the only other way that you can experience clinical trauma is to repeatedly be exposed to the physical and the real details of other people's trauma, which is that was just put in the book about 12 years ago specifically for first responders, because they walk around in everybody else's trauma all day long. And the difference also with first responders is that they also experience that trauma in all of those ways every single day. So yeah, I would get to the statistics, but this is kind of the way I say it. A normal person, and so when I say normal person, I'm talking about like a person who's born and grows up and has a regular job and lives a normal life expectancy. I'm talking they don't serve in the military and they're not a first responder. Just on average, going by the definition that I just gave you, the average person experiences 3 of those events per life for their entire life. So in 77, 78 years, the normal person will experience on average, 3 traumatic events their whole life. Guess how long it takes for that to happen for a first responder?
First hour?
6 months.
Oh.
So a career, 20, 25 years in a first responder job is lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of trauma exposure for the first responders. So what that ends up with is I have a quick little fact sheet. Let me pull this up.
Bailey said she loves you.
Well, I've got, with law enforcement total, probably close to 38 years, if not 38 years. I started in 1987. I started in the military in 1985. So I can't even count. I don't remember the first trauma I've seen.
Yeah.
I really don't. You have to compartmentalize that to go day to day, I think. You know, you can't dwell on it, although sometimes, you know, you can't help it. But
You don't have time to process and grieve it probably too, because you go from one to another, so
Yeah.
it's like a constant.
I was going to ask you, Tim, how many you think you had. I was curious about it, but I assume it's like too much. Like, you know,
I can't. I wish I could give you a number, but
and you don't have to. I was just,
I don't know.
You know,
Well,
I figured it was a lot.
I can tell you this: the average first responder in a normal career, so we're talking 20 to 25 years, experiences between 200 and 800 traumatic events, depending on what branch or, you know, what specialty of first responder jobs and things like that. But I mean, so a conservative number would be a few hundred.
what I have noticed is a lot of first responders are also either military or prior military.
Yeah, for sure.
Already
So-
has some trauma experience.
And I don't know why that correlates, but it does.
I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, I'd like to know.
Well, it's the closest thing you get, and so I don't want to like get off too far in the weeds about the science of this, but adrenaline is one of the most addictive substances on the planet. So when people join the military and they get used to that level of adrenaline and cortisol and functioning under stress and all this kind of stuff, like what's the closest thing you can get to that so you're not in withdrawal stateside? First responder jobs. Not to mention there's all kinds of studies that show there's links between, you know, dopamine stuff in the brain that attracts people of those types of people to these types of jobs. And, you know, there's all kinds of things. A lot of it has to do with the way people's brains are formed. And so anyway, there's reasons.
Well, what my concern is on this is how we can identify potential threats either before we hire someone or during the process when they're working for us or working in this job. I think we mentioned, you and I talked about it a little bit. It's a continual maintenance level process, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. It's not so the police academy, you know, was it 6-7 years ago, implemented some new stuff so that people before they go to the police academy have to have a psych eval, they have to have a polygraph, all this kind of stuff. But that's should never be a one-time thing, you know, kind of like y'all talked about on the last podcast, and I really like this part where you talked about like you only have to pass the PT test that one time to get into the academy, but that's not even when you're going to be chasing people or, you know, your life's going to be in danger. So it's very important that these things become more normal. And I'm not talking about evaluations to tell people they can't work and stuff like that, but to have care throughout a career that takes such a huge toll on people, physical, mental, social, emotional, all that. They need all that.
Well,
They don't need to get to the breaking point before you realize there needs to be a repair done or
Exactly.
something changed.
We actually had a few people that clip that you just talked about, and we had that was one of the viral clips that we had talked about, because there's a lot of people talking about that sort of stuff and agreed.
If the first responders' mental health is not, if you're not healthy mentally, it doesn't matter how many push-ups you can do or how fast you can run or any of that. So and we concentrate a little bit on that part, or the academy does initially. Most agencies don't require that afterwards, which we need to.
Yeah.
But we also need to concentrate on the mental health of our people, because ultimately we're responsible for protecting other people. And if we can't
Absolutely.
protect ourselves, how are we going to protect them?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very good way to think about it.
Let me give you these statistics that we talked about a second ago. I've got a little top 10 fact sheet. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So this is kind of across the board for first responders. So that includes police, fire, EMS, dispatchers, and corrections. So across the board, here's my top 10 statistics. 85% of first responders will experience some sort of mental health something. The general population, it's about 20%. 40% of firefighters experience suicidal ideation. 25% of law enforcement experiences suicidal ideation. This is the one that this gets me every time. Firefighters attempt suicide at 13 times the rate of the general population. So what that looks like is, in the general population, you have 0.5% of the general population will attempt suicide at some time in their life. So that's 1 in every 200. And in the firefighting / EMS community, it's almost 7%. So I mean, it's like 13 and a half times the rate. 1 in 3 first responders will experience post-traumatic stress disorder. 1 in 3 will experience depression. Somebody who currently has post-traumatic stress disorder, like they're suffering from it, not saying that, they've had something in the past, but they're at a 5 times greater risk to take their own life. Every year, a first responder is 3 times more likely to die by suicide than they are in the line of duty. Suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death among first responders. And then this one I try to concentrate on too, because it's not just about preventing suicide and things like that. It's about quality of life. So the average life expectancy right now in this country of a first responder is about 20 years shorter than a normal person. And that's all because of the stress response in the body.
So you would say mental stress has a physiological effect on your body as well?
Yeah.
Well, hang on. There's a misconception. The word stress is a physical response in the body.
Okay.
There is no really different,
Yeah.
There's no different type of stress. The stress response, just how, like when you get stressed, when you're in the middle of something, you get an increased heart rate and all that kind of stuff, the physical aspect of it, that same physical aspect of it changes the way your brain works.
Is
It's
it
the
bad
exact
when
same
you don't
thing.
even realize that that's happening to you?
I mean, it could go either way. I mean, there's learning to deal with it, learning to cope with it, learning to control it, which is a good thing. But then there's also burnout, where your brain just doesn't even go there anymore. So,
What a pause just super quick. Thank you so much, Clinton Yoder, for the $5 you threw in chat. That's amazing. We couldn't do this without you. Quick little shout out to the Yoder's Talk team over here for letting us borrow the podcast studio. They've been good to us since season 1, and we couldn't do this without the Yoder's Talk crew. So thank you, Clinton. I know you're in the chat watching. Appreciate you so much. Now let's get back to it. So all right. So we had a few things. Kurt jumped in chat here for a second, and he said, "Sorry, I had surgery today," and he asked what the timeline of the podcast was. I think he's still loopy from the surgery because I'm not sure what he means by the
Live right now.
We are live right now. But thank you. Love what you guys are doing. We love what you guys are doing over at Yoder's Talk. Thank you so much, Clinton. And,
So on I don't have a ton of knowledge of it, but like on the firefighter experience, like they're usually the first people on the scene because they're local. So because they don't seem like they'll be as prepared as someone that's like, hey, most people think firefighter. I mean, you are going into fires and stuff, but like crashes and it's usually local. So, man, your friends, everybody you know in the community, you're local to them. I've
always been curious about that. My uncle, he's a firefighter, and he's a really good one. He's been a firefighter for a long time, and he's seen some stuff. He's told me some wild stuff. He seems like he's got a good mental health. He's in the Jeeps and stuff like that. We go riding together all the time, and he's, I've never questioned his mental health.
Good.
But he has told me some stuff that I couldn't believe. I don't know what I would do if I ever seen, but he seems okay. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But like Dylan said, he was always like one of the first people on the scenes when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and so also you got to realize that around here specifically, when we talk about firefighting, we're talking 90% of the calls they run are medical. So I mean, we're talking
usually
about
not fires.
Yeah, we're talking about
car
EMS
crashes
duties as well,
and stuff like that. Because they got to direct traffic, and because I've experienced that. Because I had a guy wrecked a motorcycle like 2 houses down from me, and it was bad. Like it was really bad. And the firefighters that got there, it was like their uncle. So it's like. I mean, that's got to be super
that's
rough.
one of the things that is extra hard on people.
Yeah, and it was pretty bad. It was, I mean, it wasn't as gruesome to me, I guess. It was pretty gruesome to me, but it wasn't. I don't feel like I was traumatized by it, but it made me not want to ride my motorcycle so fast.
So when you say that, so the first responders in that situation have to really compartmentalize their emotion if they're going to try life-saving measures.
Which they tried to keep those people distant from it as possible, so it wasn't as bad on them. Like the other ones kind of stepped in and divided and conquered. So
the last time I was here, Shawn, we talked a little bit about being able to recruit first responders, and it's very difficult across the United States now to recruit, especially law enforcement. Julianna, Dr. Davis, and I had talked about this some on the way over here, and what the challenges would be for an agency head or a recruiting division or whatever to fill needed slots in law enforcement, and also recognize the mental stress or the mental evaluations that have to go into that, and how we can balance that, because we got to have people to work. And I asked her a question: do you think some people are predisposed to being overwhelmed by that stress?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a yes or no question. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So my question would be, what steps can we take to make sure that we get, I guess, I don't want to call it the right people, but the people that can, have a 25-year career successfully, so to speak, without succumbing to some of these issues?
So a couple things. I mean, I think like we talked about, people are going to have to beef up and really pour into their original evals before they hire people. Talking to somebody on Zoom for 3 minutes is not enough. It really needs to be. There's all kinds of things, and there's personality tests and things like that have been developed specifically for first responders to look for certain personality traits and things like that. But you can also have somebody who, they may struggle, they may have a hard time, they may have a hard time, but with the right support, they'll be fine. So it's also not a one-time thing. It is. I mean, you can have post-traumatic stress disorder and be a wonderful police officer, or but we don't want that for people, because we want to help their quality of life too.
Right.
But as far as predispositions, like people's ability to cope with things has a lot to do with their personality they're born with, their childhood experiences, military or combat experience or not. But really a lot of it's personality. Like some people can just...
I was involved in an officer-involved shooting in 1996 here in Cullman County, and I never forget, there were several of us involved, but the requirement then was to spend about 10 minutes with a therapist, and she just said, "Well, how do you feel?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of hungry." And she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I think so, unless you know something I don't know." and that was the extent of it, which that was mandatory, that was required. But I thought to myself, if there's somebody that really has a problem, are they going to get to the bottom of it?
Well, but here's the thing. Especially after things like officer-involved shootings or something like that, they're probably going to be okay in the few days right after. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen in those few days, but the real test is a year later. The real test is 8 years down the road when they've never talked about it. The real test is when they have to go back to that house for a different call. So I'm just saying that those types of things also deserve follow-up care, follow-up check-ins, resources that are available and stuff. I
also see some remorse from some guys over there that never fired their weapon.
Absolutely.
And they're like, "Why didn't I do that?
Guilt.
Why didn't I?" they didn't fire a shot, but they were upset because they didn't fire shots, and that worried them more than if they would have actually fired any rounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Building up guilt over time. And but like with the extended care too, because I think I could say like you could experience something and then not think about it, but then you could start to think about it, and if you over a longer period of time, if you've kept processing the same event in your head, that it really could weigh and grow on you instead of being traumatic at this time. Like down the road, it might be something that's more sensitive.
Yeah, and there's also a big difference specifically for law enforcement in the sense of they do stay so busy and they are just on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, that the time frame where we see post-traumatic stress stuff pop up for law enforcement is way later than it is for normal people.
Yeah,
no time to heal or process.
They just stay busy.
Yeah. I was gonna say something about that. I've had a buddy that was talking about like it isn't like the computer in the inside the truck when you're taking calls as a police. I don't know anything about this because I'm not a police officer, but my buddy he was talking about the calls and stuff. It pops up on your computer, right, as like a list, correct?
What?
I have no clue on that one.
Yeah, I don't either.
He was asking about like the CAD system when you're.
Oh yeah,
like,
we have a computer-aided dispatch, so all the calls go out, and they type in the information on the calls, and
And then you accept the calls like that, correct?
Well, typically, like in some larger agencies, I know like LAPD and some of those places, a lot of the radio traffic is so much they actually self-answer, like on the CAD. They can see the call and they answer it on the CAD on a keyboard. I know around here though, and at the sheriff's office, there's still radio traffic. You still have a CAD that gives you details of the call, but then you answer on the radio. They'll call you on the radio and send you to a call. Yeah,
and the only reason I know that is I'm not trying to bring in video games and this kind of stuff and stuff like that, but we've dabbled in this role-playing thing that we do. It's called 5M, and which is the Grand Theft Auto. It's like a video game or whatever.
Modified version.
Yeah, it's a modified version of it, and you can actually go in and play as police. And a lot of officers, and I know this sounds crazy, but like when you're our age and you're into this field, it's like it is a thing. But the police officers will literally get off work and they'll go home. They'll on
play
their computer,
the game
and they'll play as a real police officer.
And a lot of it is they make it as realistic as it can be.
As realistic as possible. They got a radio. There's calls coming through. I tried to do it. It's not
we could never be that serious because some people take it seriously.
Yeah,
they're super serious about it, and like it's real life, and we're always goof off.
And we wonder why it's hard for them to relax when they're
100%. That's what I was gonna say. It's like you
do it all day. Why would you want to come?
Yeah.
If you're retired, I could understand for fun. But
there's a lot of agencies have a big. There's a room set up. It's called the FAT system, and it's a big screen, and it's got scenario-based training in it, and you have a fake gun. And it's don't shoot scenarios.
Yeah.
And they run them through that, and I've seen it where they take like Citizens Academy and they run them through that. So people in non-law enforcement people can go experience what it's like to be in, virtual realm, but not real, but virtually be in those situations and how they react.
And you know what the difference is in those? And why? I mean, I think virtual stuff's fine for tactical type stuff or whatever, but like the difference in those is, guess what you're missing in those?
Yeah, they're not shooting back.
Yeah.
No, the adrenaline. You're also not really missing. You're missing the adrenaline. Therefore, you're not training for it to act. Maybe you are tactically, but you're not training your body for that to actually happen in real life.
There's no threat there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're training in a peaceful environment, not a chaotic one.
We talk about this like with golf too. I'm sorry to jump in. We talk about this in golf. So, like we're on, and me and my boss Clinton Yoder, the host of Yoder's Talk, we golf a lot. And when we're out on the driving range, and they have targets, that you can hit. Where you're just on the range, you've got 150 balls, and you hit, you miss, you hit, and you can confidently hit a target, correct? Mm-hmm. Well, when you're on the course, you got one, and it's like if you hit it and lose it, that's the only one. You lost it. And we were talking about this the other day. It's like, why can you aim and hit so good on the driving range, but once you're out, you could hit it and slice it right or left.
Because there's no pressure on you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of golf, I need to talk to you about lessons after this.
Hey, you have to talk to
I'll drive the
you talk
cart.
to old Clinton. Clinton's
I'm terrible.
he's dialed. Clinton is. And Corey McClendon, shout out to Corey McClendon. He's a co-host of Yoder's Talk. He is also dialed. Golf is life to him, 100%. And they're
Serious.
I'm terrible.
International speaker, loves the golf.
good. That's what we call it.
Wish he was in here
international,
talking
but,
to us.
He's good. He's a good talker. Both of them are. That's obviously why they're host of a podcast. But they've gotten really good. They've gotten really good at talking. From if you go watch their season 1 first video to now, this is a dramatic change, and they've gotten to the professional lines of talking when it comes to podcasting and speaking in public and stuff like that. They're really good.
So Julianna, Dr. Davis, sorry.
It's okay. You can call me Julianna.
You currently work alone doing this, like traveling and doing the.
Yep, I'm a one-man circus.
Okay.
Or one-man show. But however, I'm trying to hire some help and stuff. But kind of like I think we were talking about something like this on the way, or one of us was. You got to find the right person to be able to help. They've got to be a good fit. They've got to have. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm very picky about help, but I'm yeah.
So this is your job? Is
correct.
In exactly like you go in and you just.
There's so much. So.
I know. I was trying to.
So,
it's so hard to think about, like, and break it down.
Yeah. So I wrote a policy with some people from the city of Albertville several years ago after an officer-involved shooting. I was the mental health person, but it consisted of peer support people, chaplains, and a lot of obviously the chiefs and the administration, but like also people that had been involved in these critical incidents. And we ended up using research, evidence-based practices, all of that to write a incredibly comprehensive wellness plan for first responders. When we got done with that, the goal was to share that with as many people as we could. And so that's what I've done, and that's how I've ended up with all these people all over North Alabama, all these places. But the plan, like this critical incident stuff that we're talking about, is just a part of it. So there's classes. That's actually how I met Tim, was teaching a class at the sheriff's office. Like, there's classes that I teach. There's trainings that people go to. There's books I give out. There's sunlight lamps that I buy people. I mean, there's stress inoculation training. There's wellness checks. There's the critical incident stuff. But then there's peer support. There's chaplaincy. And then there's treatment as a therapist. Mm-hmm. But I would say the biggest and like most effective part of the plan is education and teaching people this stuff and teaching people what to do when a first responder is struggling so that they can continue to work and they can have a quality of life and they don't become a statistic.
And what I've learned is too, when you're doing this job for a while, certain people develop this attitude about themselves that I don't need any help. I'm going to keep it bottled inside. I'm not telling anybody because it makes you look weak or something. And you touched on that the time I went and saw you, and how it's okay to open up. Yeah.
Yeah. You can be vulnerable.
Well, and I try to spend a lot of time, especially in these types of work, with the amount of trauma exposure that they have. All of this is adrenaline, the effects of adrenaline. Like, your brain actually changes the way it works under the effects of adrenaline. So I'm I'm not going to take up all the time talking about that, but I could talk about it for a very long time and explain to people that actually what we consider mental health issues, especially for first responders, is just a physical injury to the brain, just like any sprained ankle or hurt shoulder or pulled back muscle or whatever. Your brain is actually a body part. So but that education piece, none of the rest of this stuff would work without the education piece, so that people understand why these things happen and how how it's okay, to need help and stuff.
I was skeptical. I was real skeptical because I've been through the military stuff and I've been through the other stuff after the officer involved shooting, and I thought, But after hearing Dr. Davis, my idea was later, once I decided to run for this office, was to bring some of that to Cullman because we don't have that.
Yeah.
And most places don't. I mean, it's catching on, and I think we've done a really good job of doing as much as we can around here, but yeah, it's most places don't. And that's the thing, like, it's kind of like, you want to have this stuff in place. It's kind of like building a tornado shelter before the tornado.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
it,
what I
it
was
makes
gonna,
sense.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what would be your plan? Like, start before, like in the very beginning, and get them comfortable communicating things, and then just keeping that as a stepping stone to keep it going.
What I normally do is I go into a place and I'll, hit. Obviously, we're going to talk to the administration first, and I'll teach my classes, whatever class I want to teach at the time, to the administration first, and make sure they're good with it. And then I come back around a million times and hit all the shifts and all the people, and I teach the class, and I talk about the plan, and I explain what's available and all this. And then we'll set up a schedule where they'll, in the policy that I helped write, it's required at least once a year. Supervisors have to go twice a year. There's all kinds of ways that you have to keep this at the forefront. But really, I mean, I've never gone to a place and taught a class where somebody didn't call for help afterwards. Never. So.
And tell me all the places that, just a brief rundown of all the agencies that you went to or that you go to.
Boaz Police and Fire, Albertville Police and Fire, Gunnersville Police and Fire, Marshall County 911, Scottsboro Police and Fire, Jackson County Sheriff's Office, obviously the 911 people with Jackson County, Limestone County Sheriff's Office, Athens Fire. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody and somebody's going to be mad at me.
Don't leave them out.
What?
Birmingham. Didn't you say Birmingham?
No, I taught a class there one time at a college, but no, like, these are the departments that I work in. But then I have people who come to me for the therapy aspect of it from all over, So
After the
agencies that's not necessarily have you to come teach a class.
Yeah.
Those agencies,
I
people from
still
those
have people
agencies
call me.
reach out, and it's from pretty much all of North Alabama.
I'll also travel to go see people.
And do you offer?
That's what I was going to ask. Is there more people like you that?
Not up here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Not up here. Not that I know of.
And
I wish there was.
You've got all these agencies. How many clients do you think?
I mean, I can't. There's no way I could say. I mean, over the last few years, I've had probably a couple hundred people come to me for help. It might be for one time. It might be for one thing. They might,
And that's just, that's just here. Then
Patient-client privilege is in effect. But I probably know, without naming people that have come to you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Some people just know.
It worked all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a few comments so we'd like to catch up on real quick.
Okay.
Dylan, would you care to?
Kirk said that the VFW is having a mental health event November 8th at Goat Island.
I've seen that.
Let's see.
Also, they're having. I know this is.
I need to write some of this down.
I'm a member down there, so I will make sure they know that you're going to come, right? I don't have one.
Can I get a pen? Anybody got a pen?
Yeah, actually. Dylan, I'm going to throw this to you.
Going down.
Do you also offer services to podcast
I might after this. It depends on how this goes.
Might need some after this.
Yeah,
it goes south.
I know this is heavy stuff for people that don't. Like, I do this all day long every day. Like, I can talk about it like it's a recipe. But I know it's heavy stuff for people that, this is not your normal conversation. So
No.
It's definitely not. The first conversation. Well, I don't know. We would say the first conversation that me and Tim Creel had with Kirk, you would say would be. It is not a normal conversation that we would have on my podcast, but it turned out really well. And
it did.
and we talked about all kinds of stuff. There was some important stuff in there, and we cut up a little bit in that podcast as well.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's really good to step out of your zone and so let's
learn.
Yeah, and learn stuff.
We like to learn.
Yeah, we love to learn. So.
Because we had a good talk with Clinton, learning about Mennonites.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Oh, wow.
That stuff we didn't know.
Yeah. And
more knowledge.
Yeah, we felt like we helped somewhat of a community like learn more about the Mennonite culture and stuff like, because there's a lot of misconceptions about it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons we got Clinton on to help understand that stuff. We're going to have him on this season. I think we're scheduled to either have him next week or the week after. I'm not totally sure, but we're going to have him back on and talk a little more into that, a little more cut loose with that. But more comments. Did we read? Clinton Yoder says, "Love what you guys are doing. We need more people like this in today's world. This is because there is a lot of hurting people. Love what you're doing, Doc."
Oh, thanks.
And then Travis, thank you. Travis is a good dude. He's in here. He said, "Thanks for everybody for watching and commenting." Thank you so much, Travis. And then Kirk says, "Tell Tim I'm sorry I didn't make it. I broke my
He
head surgery."
Well, he's texted me and said, "Sorry, man, I couldn't make it."
And
I'll make sure.
It's all right, Kirk. You're good. You broke your hand. It's a good excuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So the other aspect of this would be law enforcement in particular dealing with someone going through a mental crisis.
I was gonna ask about that. And so when it gets down to like somebody having, I don't want to say just like losing it, but have you ever had to deal with something like that?
A bunch of times.
Really?
I remember one time in particular, the guy was insistent on killing himself, and me and another investigator talked to him for probably an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we thought that we had this resolved and he was okay. That was back before we could call and have someone verbally committed for an evaluation. So in our minds, we felt okay about it. We left. It was probably 10 minutes later, we got a call that someone had jumped off the bridge onto I-65 from 278. It didn't kill him, thank God, but it was the same guy when we went back.
That's so awful.
Those
so
things
it just gained his composure enough to make you feel like it was okay.
You kind of try to get in their head and find out what's motivating them or what's causing that depression, and sometimes you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful.
But law enforcement has to have empathy for those people, and not just automatically say, well, you're either going to jail or this or that. But now, when I worked here, and I think it's like this most places, if they express the threat to you verbally that, hey, I want to die, I want to kill myself, then you can have them evaluated. But usually it's only like a 48-hour hold, though. And we've lost the ability in Cullman. We had Woodland Hills for a while. We lost the ability for a care facility for that. So we used to use Woodland Hills, and we had North Alabama Regional, but those are both closed.
I remember, I know this is off subject, but they used to say Woodland was haunted. You remember that, Dylan?
Yeah. We used to always think it was haunted.
That's appropriate for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what Woodland is now.
Is that the sanctuary? It turned into, are you talking about the
The
sanctuary at the Woodlands?
Yeah, there's a bank there, and then there's like an emergency room there for a little while.
Yeah.
And
Having said that, though, I
talking
think we need to focus training also on for the
Absolutely.
officers to dealing with mental health issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of that. And then when you add the drug abuse problem onto that, it's just, it multiplies it by 100 times.
I would say I'm just making the statistic up, but in my experience, I would say 80%, if not more, of the mental health calls that y'all get in the community are drug related.
Well,
which is still, that's still an issue. We've got to treat that issue, but it's
because specifically methamphetamine changes your brain chemistry, and out of the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've talked to that I have actually arrested for property crimes and other crimes, if they open up and talk to you, they'll tell you that They have no control over their actions when they're addicted.
I've always been super interested in like what how all that works. Like why does it change people, and because I know people that have done that stuff, and I know it's a drug and that stuff happens, but I've always been so curious to like how it
how you lose control.
the science behind it.
It takes over their brain function sometimes.
The neurotransmitters. So every single thing we do, even a small like motor movement, everything is related to neurotransmitters. Everything. So when you do meth or whatever else, I mean any of them, the way they work is they absolutely overload whatever neurotransmitter they work on. The thing about meth is it like does all of them, So I mean it's really people are really not themselves on substances,
So I'm still working in this field in another agency, and day before yesterday I arrested a guy for stealing some construction equipment, and I wanted to hear his story. He went ahead and told me what he did. I wanted to hear his story though, so I can get a better understanding of maybe how to combat this in the future. I already know the story. It's been told to me hundreds of times. But he said he did prison time, and when he got out of prison, he said to himself, I'm never going back to prison. Never going back to prison. So he was clean for several years. Then he had a traumatic event when his son passed away, oddly enough, from an overdose. And that day, when he found out his son had passed away, he went and he knew people, and he got a little bit of meth, and he said, I was only going to do it one time. Well, that was 6 months ago, and he continued to do it with a $300, $400, $500 a day drug habit.
Man, that's and like again, I wish I knew the science. I wish I could get into the science behind it, because I just want to know, because I've seen these. I think it's Portland. I've seen these videos of people walking around and it just is like zombies. Yeah. And it's awful. And
I think it's having someone to go to, like that would be, if there's like an out, that they try to search out, drugs for an out or an escape for a little while, people have less of an out because it's everything's compact now too. Like
I've asked him, I said, you see what's happened to people around you. Why do you even do it the first time?
Yeah. Yes. So there's so many people too that you would think they see the effects of it, right?
Yeah, the negatives.
And it's like me. I've seen. So I had a childhood best. I won't say who it is. I had a childhood best friend, and he went down a rough path when he got out of high school, and he's still going down that rough path. But he was like a scholar, playing sports in the popular crowd. And I don't know why, because I've always been so interested in that. What made his brain switch into wanting to? Because he used to smoke that fake
spice,
weed.
Fake weed, spice, where you get it like zero gravity and stuff like that. Yeah. And he used to do that a lot, and he got very addicted to it. And
well, it cuts across all demographics and all social classes. It doesn't. It just. You're not a meth addict just because you're a day laborer. Yeah. You can be a meth addict as a day laborer or an attorney or a doctor or whoever.
Well, and think about the. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, think about this. I'm not trying to get into the different beliefs about addiction and stuff like this, but I will say, like, addiction is an escape from something. We don't necessarily know what that thing is for everybody, because our one job as humans is to stay alive. We know the things that happen when you start doing drugs or when people get on drugs. Nobody wakes up in the morning and just says, well, I think I just want to ruin my life today. Nobody does.
They don't realize how much out of control it makes them.
Yeah, and nobody says, I think I just want to, not, give up on my everything today.
A lot of people are, so busy they don't know how to escape. They have so much to do. Like nowadays you got to work all the time. Like you hardly have free time. And like, I guess people like me and Shawn, if we get stressed out or something, we could go play a video game. We can, put our head in that realm and escape what's behind us and kind of have some peace.
I've had people tell me it's an escape from reality.
Well,
yeah.
And remember that the definition I gave y'all at the very beginning about the definition of trauma. 90% of people in substance use treatment facilities, 90% have trauma, childhood trauma. So
I think a lot of that
it's starting at an early age when they're children.
What the
trauma.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it may not necessarily. I'm not saying early childhood. There, I don't really know the difference in like age, like most common age or something. I don't, but I mean anything between birth and adolescence is significantly more impactful than just something happening as an adult.
Yeah, and I've seen like a lot.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A lot, like if you had a bad childhood, you're living in the chaos. So then like being around someone that's more peace related, it's like it's really difficult for them because they're used to the chaos. Like they feel like the chaos is what's normal.
The
and something that's
addictive.
Yeah, something that's good, they may see it as a bad, and they're emotional, they'll think they need this and they'll go after that off their feelings. They don't have the logic behind it. Like, it's like my parents and stuff.
I've had people tell me, well, when I get out of jail or when I get this behind me, I'm moving. Well, it doesn't really matter where you move.
It'll follow you.
It'll follow you. And not only that, but this is not this drug problem and mental health problem is not isolated in certain areas. It's widespread.
I do think a change in environment and not being able to or trying to make new routines and stuff I think can be very helpful, but it doesn't solve the problem.
But if they
you
seek
still have
out
to
the
put in the
same,
discipline.
if they seek out the same crowd that they've been with, no matter where they move to, it's going to come around again.
And the
It'd be
drugs
more-
are everywhere.
It'd be more difficult, I guess, if you moved your environment, and easier to not be that close and easy access to something that's negative.
But I've had people tell me, well, I'm moving to Douglas, Georgia, or I'm moving to, the middle of Florida or wherever. And I look at those stats from those places.
Yeah,
probably
and,
way worse.
Yeah.
Well, you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire because, we have a drug issue in Cullman, but it's not as bad as like Polk County, Florida, probably Tampa, Florida, Atlanta.
Is that the place we were talking about with the sheriff that does all the videos?
Oh, Grady Judd.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Polk County's Grady Judd.
That gonna be you?
I follow him.
Yeah.
He does. I think it's very. Me and you talked about this a ton about how informative it is when it comes
Well,
to
he's
stuff.
Just to
very
put
informative.
information out
But
there.
I'd also like to see yours be hilarious like that.
Yeah, he is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
And he does not
Could be
spare
like
the details
serious
of
and not
the,
serious.
Yeah.
It's a really good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like watching and.
Well, like I told you on the last podcast, law enforcement needs to be transparent as possible without compromising their operational integrity on certain things. Obviously, there's certain things we can't talk about while they're in the process, investigations and stuff. But there's a lot of information that can be put out that the public need to know probably that's not, that, like I said, it doesn't compromise the cases.
I think it would be to have an informative, live stream of. I think live would be where you do it at, and then you can get the cut up clips and stuff like that will get pushed out and more views or more eyeballs on your informative information and stuff like that. I think that's a huge.
Well, I'm a
huge
realist.
thing.
I'm a realist. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not a politician. But I'll tell you, the more the public understands what our role is, the more cooperation we get from the public and the better we can do our jobs.
I think so as well. I do. And I think it's worked out for the people that, because me and you talked about this, the people that have done it, or the agencies that have done it, have seen, good solutions that come from it.
Sometimes the public, we only affect 3 to 4% of the population, and sometimes the other part of that population don't really realize the reality of what's going on around them. And I'm not trying to scare people, but I want them to know the reality of it, and what we're doing as law enforcement to combat that. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Well, but I also think there's a difference between transparency and airing business and airing stuff that, and I'm not trying to get specific. I mean,
No.
we know what we're talking about, but I mean,
Yeah.
Well, you also shouldn't use events like certain events are used for political gain,
yeah.
Yeah.
for
No.
publicity. You shouldn't. That's not what I'm talking about transparency.
Well, but I'm even talking about, and you may feel differently about this, but I think you can add to a traumatic situation by airing the details,
Overly,
by
yes, you can.
oversharing, not only for the family, for the people
Yeah,
involved,
to
but
the wrong
especially
person.
for the officers. And, if you're in charge of people, like, they need to know that you'll protect them. And sometimes protecting them means not
Yeah,
airing everything.
I
And-
agree with that. They
yeah.
don't need to every time they pick their phone up see that.
Yes, exactly. That's what
Especially
I'm
the victims.
saying. Yeah.
And that's our purpose in law enforcement because we're the loudest, sometimes the only voice. We're the initial voice, but sometimes we're the loudest voice for victims.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our sole purpose: quality of life. And without, like we talked earlier, without maintaining the mental health of our first responders, how are we going to protect other people?
Well,
And they got to have a safe space. They got to feel safe.
Well, and we know how crazy social media is. So you
Yeah.
take somebody who's dealing with something like an officer-involved shooting, and they open their social media, which I tell people all the time, the number one rule
Don't do it.
of traumatic events is stay off
Yeah.
social media.
Detox the
but
socials.
they get on there and they see these people calling them all these names, and I mean, y'all deal with that enough anyway. But people who have absolutely no idea what's happened, just bashing these people,
Yeah.
and then for it to come.
See,
For that to be at the hands of leadership when they had a choice to share it or not, like, I just think there's a time and a place.
It definitely could be worse because I've been through like some traumatic events, and even like with hanging out with friends and stuff, they could cut up and banter with you and like make fun. And normally, like before, it's like, oh, that's funny, but then like once you kind of been through something, it's like that kind of feels more serious,
Yeah.
even though it's not.
Yeah,
and you see that really in depth after you're involved with
A lot.
something that I've been involved with, and then after the fact, you're like,
You can't
what
even
did we
joke
just
about
what just
that.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to have a safe space to even talk about it with anyone that would understand.
That's
you feel
what-
like
And that's another thing that, like in the military, that builds that brotherhood. The people I served with, like Kirk and a couple more guys, I mean, they're as close as any blood brother I could possibly have because of that.
There's a neurotransmitter that's responsible for that too. Just saying.
What is?
I said there's a neurotransmitter that's responsible for that too. It's called
So I have neurotransmitters.
vasopressin. Yeah.
using them right now.
I have those.
There you go.
Yeah,
Cool, I'm glad.
it's a neurotransmitter that's formed between men specifically when they go through hard stuff.
Together.
So if you
The
get
brotherhood
a
is
concussion
real.
in football,
Yes, it is.
so when you get a concussion
That's
in football,
interesting.
does that mess your neurotransmitters up?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That explains it
TBIs do that to people.
So
Yeah.
are you saying when you experience something with your friend
Yes.
and you become how do you say it?
Super close
Super
afterwards.
close, yes.
Yeah. That's
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because it could
Man.
be probably experiencing or even discussing it with another person that's similar.
Yeah,
Probably
and I said
create the same
neurotransmitter. I
bond.
think it's actually a hormone, but either way, it's a chemical. It's a chemical that our brain needs. Same thing. but
Neurotransmitter sounds cooler than
it does.
hormonal.
Yeah, men are hormonal too. Yeah,
For an example, let's say like your friend was driving in a Zuzu pickup and driving erratically and decided to
I don't know
sling
who that
sling it sideways and hit a bankment, and it turned the vehicle sideways where you're looking at the floor, looking at the ground out of the window.
That sounds like something that probably really happened.
It really
I was
did.
gonna say,
Oh, he's talking about.
facial expressions are saying this is true.
Yeah, so
Okay.
but the truck landed
It
back
didn't
on its
roll,
wheels.
so I mean,
Were you-
But-
I saved it.
well, it was.
We didn't do that again, so it was a learning
Oh, did y'all?
experience.
You should have filmed that.
yeah, well,
Actually.
it
We
was
didn't have good cameras back then.
it was-
And I don't know that that's one of those things that we're talking about. I think that's one of the situations where you'd probably be mad at him for a while.
I was more
Probably not. He
more
probably did
scared
more.
than anything. Honestly.
Then we've put both each other through stuff like that before. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, anytime you overcome something or you
I
go
think that was
through
more adrenaline than
yeah.
trauma bonding. Trauma bonding. I've heard
Yeah.
that. I've heard that a lot.
Eh.
Is trauma bonding a thing? Somebody said it in the
I
comments.
think people use that term to talk about what I'm talking about, like the bond that's formed between
two people.
But a trauma bond is actually more like a toxic relationship type thing. But I mean, yeah.
Do you know about those?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've experienced one of those.
Yeah.
The trauma bond.
The trauma bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
I have heard of that. So trauma bond is not a thing, right? Or is it?
No, it is. It's absolutely a thing, but it's
I think
more.
it's like an emotional.
It refers to like toxic intimate relationships, like
Okay.
the cycle of abuse and things like that. You know, people are. I mean, it's related to the same thing. Like your brain is seeking out this excitement.
That brings me to another point. You know,
Yeah,
law enforcement is faced with domestic violence situations all the time.
Yep. Yep.
We need better training for that, dealing with those situations, because they're emotional. A lot of times, you know, you add drugs, alcohol to that, and mental stress, mental health issues. That's just a bad combination.
Well, and domestic violence calls are also a common way that officer involved shootings and things like that end up happening, you know. So yeah, learning how to de-escalate as quickly as possible, you know, can sometimes help.
And what's some of like I guess the results of having the trauma, like especially like if your cortisol levels are like super high, because like I've experienced that, and like I know definitely the short-term memory is like gone.
Absolutely.
Like it's definitely deleted out of, you know, because a bunch of stuff I'll be fine, but like when I went through that, it was like short-term stuff. Like I could do something and like 10 minutes later couldn't even remember I did something.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of effects of trauma, but what you're describing, like short-term memory problems, is a direct effect of adrenaline. So when you have adrenaline and cortisol and things like that, and like I said, it changes parts of your brain, like the hippocampus, which is the part that's normally responsible for learning new stuff or remembering stuff or whatever, it gets messed up in that trauma system. So it's a thing.
Does it ever repair?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I feel like it's been like a year and a half, and it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be a little different, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, I will tell you some things you could do to, you know, help a little bit. But there's also a couple of medications like SSRIs and stuff that have been shown to regrow and replenish parts, because those parts of your brain actually end up shrinking and dying over time if you have repeated trauma.
Oh no!
Which I have ADD too, so
eventually people get to where they can't remember anything, and it's like permanent. You know,
because I have ADD too, so sometimes it's like the brain just turns off. Like if I don't remember one thing, it's like I'm done for the day. Especially like names and stuff like that. But I've always done like the alphabet associations with names in my head. If I can't remember a name, I just go through the alphabet, and eventually I'll remember the first or last name, and then I can pick it up. It might take me a minute, but it works.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's how I've always done it. And
if I just forget a name, I forgot a name.
But I quit taking medicine out of high school.
I don't know who you are, bro. Can you tell me your name?
Yeah, just call everybody Vern like Ernest did.
Yeah,
Vern.
there you go. Yeah, Vern.
Man, woman, don't matter who it is.
That's
it's
irritating
Vern.
when someone comes up and you haven't seen them for a long time.
Yes, they very
You
much.
know who I am, right? You're like,
No.
I've had a full-on conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I don't know their
never
name.
know their name.
give me a hint. You
It's
know,
like, bro, we was riding bikes together. You fell off the back of it, and it's like detailed stuff. And I'm like, I don't know you, bro.
All right, yeah, you pushed me off
like
the
your
monkey
best
bars
friends.
in the 3rd grade.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
okay.
that's so interesting.
Barely
but-
remember what school I went to in 3rd grade.
Yeah, for real. One of the fond memories I've had in the when I was in 3rd grade is the 2011 or 2001 attack, 9/11.
You were in the
school.
3rd grade.
Yeah, I was in 3rd grade.
I was in 7th.
How old am I?
I don't know.
Young and spry.
Yeah.
Well, I was so I did fail 2nd grade, so I was supposed to be in 4th. So I don't remember how old I was.
Did you
in
fail
3rd grade.
PE? Or?
No, I failed. I don't know what I failed. I don't remember.
You
I know. We just moved. I just bought a house and we moved. So I've been packing and unpacking and stuff. When I was unpacking the other day, and it's so funny. I found a certificate from the 2nd grade, my 2nd year of 2nd grade, and it said I got all A's for all year. I was like, yeah, because I already
Why
knew
did I
everything.
fail?
So you were sandbagging.
Did it twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I told my wife. I was like, yeah, I knew everything. I just want to hang out with my friends that didn't make it.
Kindergarten, best 3 years of my life.
Well, this has been a really good podcast, or a really good episode. I did not expect it to, because I have no idea when it comes to like mental health and stuff like that. So I didn't know how I was going to react to this podcast, but it's turned out really well.
We appreciate Dr. Davis.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I reached out to her, she was like, "A podcast?"
We're low key. We're not so serious.
No,
We tried.
I actually said it's been my lifelong dream to be on a podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I want to go.
Glad
So-
it could be.
She's regretting
thought
it now.
process.
So I didn't really want her to know where the secret location of the podcast was, so we
Yeah.
blindfolded her on
Scope
the
it
way
out.
here.
Yeah, he hooded me and threw me in the back of the van. And
That's,
brought me here.
that's procedure.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But thank you so much for jumping on. Like I said, this has been very informative and all that.
I
good
hope
stuff.
this helps a few
Yeah.
people in the first responder profession to let them know that they can reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They can ask
absolutely.
questions. I mean,
And we
inquire.
And if I'm elected to this position, we will implement this program. for
Yeah,
sure.
and I want to say, like, in a department where they have a comprehensive wellness plan, it reduces suicide by like 90%. Like,
And that's
the risk
huge.
for
Just-
suicide. Yeah.
Just
so, I
to
mean,
know
I
they
think
do
it's-
have help
Yeah.
and not by themselves or
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Sean and
Dylan.
Dylan.
problem.
Yeah, thank
Matt
you guys.
Dillon and John
Sean
Wayne.
Ryan.
That's
John
how we
Wayne,
do it.
yeah. The cowboy.
Or Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Yeah.
Dylan's over here being specific.
It
But
don't
thank
matter.
you, thank
That's
you
how
guys
I
so
remembered
much.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is amazing. Everything will be linked in the description below if you guys want to find. I will get with you guys on the links after this VOD posts. After the video posts and processes, you'll be able to go through the description below and check out links to your stuff, Miss Davis, and then your stuff, Tim. I've linked your stuff before.
Okay.
You are running for sheriff. You want to throw that out there
For Cullman County.
for Cullman
yes.
County, and but yeah, thank you guys so much. And this
And
was
if
amazing.
anybody listen to
podcast.
this wants yard signs, I got a bunch.
There you go.
I'll take one.
I'll take one.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys on the next podcast next week with
See ya.
Mr. Clinton Yoder himself.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Yeah. Thanks.